Hello, I'm Peaceful Nik the Medium. I'm an evidential medium specializing in healing messages. I help you connect to your loved ones in spirit to prove that life goes on beyond this earthly realm and deliver evidence and healing messages. Hello, everyone, and welcome in. I just want to start with a couple of announcements, and then we're going to talk about mediumship. So please put your questions, comments in the chat. I'll be making donations to the following organizations: Feeding America, Toys for Tots, and Help a Diabetic Child. The links to those organizations to donate directly are in the show notes. This is important because as a child, I depended on quote unquote welfare Christmases for food and for toys for Christmas. And I have a type 1 diabetic child. And if you don't know about type 1 diabetes, it's very different from type 2. People get type 1 diabetes for no reason. I mean, there's a medical reason, but they didn't cause it themselves. They just got it. And so type 1 diabetics are insulin dependent forever unless they get a kidney transplant, which only lasts 10 years or so. So type 1 diabetes is very expensive. And there are, since COVID especially, the rates of type 1 diabetes have doubled. I believe that's an accurate estimation. There's new research into it, but just know that there are millions of people who are underinsured, uninsured, and children and adults who don't have enough funds for their insulin, and they ration their insulin, and people die every year with type 1 diabetes because they don't have enough money to pay for their medication. And organizations like Help a Diabetic Child helps get insulin funding to those in need, and it is extremely important. It is a very sad and debilitating disease. It's a 24-hour job to take care of diabetes, type 1. I have $11 3-card email tarot readings at peacefulnikthemedium.com, and all of my one-on-one Zoom mediumship, spiritual guidance, and card readings are buy one, get one free from now until November 30th. The free reading should be finished by January 31st. And you may gift your free reading to a loved one. And that will take place via the organizing. The second reading will take place via email, but it will be a private one-on-one reading. Tonight, we're going to talk about mediumship, and you can order either of my books, Beginner's Course, Mediumship 101, or How to Become Your Own Medium. You can get the paperback on Amazon, links below, or the digital download on my website. All the links for that are below. So, hi, Bridget. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed your reading. Yay, yay, yay. So, mediumship is different from being a psychic. So, one of the things I teach in my classes and mentorships is the difference between psychic and medium. And I know I have a little stray hair sticking up, but that's okay. The information's still good. It'll just give you something to focus on. I can't get rid of it. Mediumship is when a medium, like me, connects to your loved ones in spirit and gives you evidence that their life continues beyond this earthly realm, and messages of hope, healing, peace, and love. And it could be evidence of something that happened today. Say, your mom might come through and say, if your mom's in spirit, and say, oh, I saw the box with the cookies in it. And you're thinking, how did she know? I just got a box of cookies delivered from my boss at work, and they sent a box of cookies to the employees. How did she know that? Well, she knows because our loved ones in spirit see what's going on. Thank you, Aunt Jen. Aunt Jen is, please follow Aunt Jen 888. She is my wonderful friend. one of my mentees in mediumship, and one of my co-hosts of the Wednesday live streams in the morning. So please subscribe to her channel. It's totally free. Also, while you're at it, to support all of your favorite creators in this time of insanity, subscribe to their channel, watch their videos, comment on their videos, like their videos, share their videos. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Gina. So that's the easiest, cheapest way to support your favorite creators, because times are weird, right? Times are weird. So please support your favorite creators in that way. All right, so mediumship info. The first thing, if you were just on my other live stream, we talked a lot about meditation, and Ann-Jen actually is a certified meditation master through the Chopra Center, or some fancy title she has from the Chopra Center. She begged me to meditate for over 20 years, and I finally started doing it a couple years ago. So I'm a slow listener. I'm stubborn. But it changed my life. Meditation changed my life. And if you are going to do any type of spiritual practice, you need to meditate. So I was talking about what a medium is, talking to loved ones in spirit, getting information. A psychic is someone who connects with you, the living person, and gives you information about your life. Now, all mediums are psychic. All mediums have the ability to connect psychically. But not all psychics have the ability to connect, or not all psychics are trained to connect with spirit. Everybody in the world can connect with spirit if they allow themselves to. All mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. Mediums connect to spirit, loved ones in spirit. Psychics connect to you and your aura. All right, so meditation, we must clear that train of thoughts. Clear that train of thoughts in order for you to have a clear connection with spirit. Some people have very busy minds. My mind is very busy. I'm very busy-minded. And I've had to learn to slow that down in order to connect properly with spirit. So meditation is very important. The other next, you normally learn about what clairs are in mediumship. Your clairs are your senses, like your five senses: seeing, hearing, feeling, etc., tasting, smelling. You have those clair senses when you connect to spirit. So, for example, you can see me. Most people can see physically in human form. And when you see things in spirit, it's called clairvoyance, clear seeing. And you can see things inside your mind's eye or externally. It's called external clairvoyance. And you can learn to develop both of those. So my mediumship came with clairvoyance. The first two major mediumship events I had in my life were extremely clairvoyant, very clear, very full color, all of that. Not every medium uses clairvoyance. You don't have to be clairvoyant to be a medium. There's another clair that is common that a lot of people don't know they have. It's called claircognizance. Claircognizance is clear knowing. When you know something and you don't know why you know it, the information's just in your head. And this is something I had my whole life, and I had no idea it wasn't something everybody had. Like, I knew things before they were going to happen. I knew what people were going to say before they said it. I knew when somebody was going to give me a piece of information. I just knew it. And I didn't know it was that other people didn't. But that's called claircognizance. So if you're ever, all of a sudden you think of your best friend, and then all of a sudden your phone buzzes and there's a text message from your best friend, that's claircognizance. You knew that you were going to hear from them. They came to your mind. That's a very simplified example. Or when your friend texts you, right before they text you, there's a piece of gossip that came into your head and you don't know why you thought of that, but that's what the text message was, the piece of gossip, right? Not promoting gossip, I'm just giving an example. That's claircognizance. It's like instinct or intuition or telepathy or ESP. It's all kind of in the same ballpark. Claircognizance. We all have it. It's just you have to learn to discern between your thoughts and the claircognizant thoughts. Clairaudience is clear hearing. That's when sometimes you'll fall asleep and you'll hear your name called, or you'll hear somebody say something, or sometimes thoughts go through your head and it doesn't sound like you, and it's not something you would think. Or songs. I get a lot of songs. I'm a big music lover. I get a lot of songs in my head when I do readings, and just all the time. And usually the songs are relevant to the reading, which is great. Part of the evidence. Clairalience is clear smelling. Sometimes you might smell cigarette smoke or perfume and nobody's around and nobody smokes where you are. That is clear smelling. You're smelling someone in spirit, just kind of letting you know they're there. Could be someone you know who's in spirit, or it could just be a stranger in spirit walking by, or you walked by where they were. And then clairgustance is clear tasting. Sometimes you'll get a taste in your mouth, like for some reason I taste cornbread all the time when I do readings. I don't know why. And I'm like, why am I tasting cornbread? But it would be like maybe grandma had a special cornbread recipe or something. So that's basic information about your clairs. Then there's clair empathy, which is emotional feeling, and clair sentience, which is physical feeling. So some people get tingles, or I feel heart attacks or stabbings, or brain aneurysms. Like I feel pains in different parts of my body, how someone passed away in my readings. So just be aware that those are the titles for those abilities. Vivian said, yes, I couldn't understand why people in my life were making what I thought were stupid decisions. Girl, ain't that the truth? Now I realize I knew things most people didn't. Yes, right? And that's the thing. When you have all these clear senses, you know things that are going to happen before they happen. And it's part of our awareness. It's part of our awareness of the bigger picture. So yeah, that's too bad, being able to taste cornbread and not have a fresh one ready for you to eat. Well, now it's cooling off. It's down between 70 and 80 here in Florida. So I've been making some cornbread and soups. It's our winter. Actually, it's going to be 37 degrees here in a couple of days, which is like unheard of in November in Florida. Like, but then it's going to go back up. But it's crazy. Spirit guides. So we all have spirit guides. Spirit guides are like a spiritual best friend. Hi, Gina M. I'm glad you're here. A spirit guide is our spiritual best friend, but they're also there for guidance. That's why they're called guides. Spirit guides are probably someone you incarnated with here on Earth or on another planet in a past life. Please be aware that we have had past lives on other planets. There are trillions of planets in our universe, hundreds of millions in our galaxy. And our universe is 13.8 billion years old. So, and life on Earth started pretty fast after Earth evolved. So there is definitely life on other planets, and you've very, very likely had lives on other planets. And our guides could have lived with us on Earth in a past life or on another planet in a past life. Hi, Diana. So understand that our spirit guides are there to help lead us through certain events in our life. And developing a relationship with your guides is essential if you are going to practice mediumship. Now, I have a lot of mentees right now, and I'm actually moving much more into mentorships because of the demand for it. That's why I wrote these books, so people could try out mediumship with a reasonable price before they sign on to a mentorship. I have 6-month mentorships, annual mentorships. I have classes, I have one-off, I have all different kinds of options. But if you're wondering about, is this for me? Do I really have those things? These books are a great place to start. A very reasonable price. So your spirit guides are, you likely have more than one. I have at least 3 right now that I know of. And developing a relationship with them, you learn anything you want from them as far as really anything. You can ask them anything. Now, there are some things they won't tell you. They're not going to tell you the lottery numbers because that's not your journey, right? Not everybody's meant to win the lottery. And if they did tell you the lottery numbers, something probably you ever hear about the stories, the lottery destroyed my life. So it's not always the best choice. It's not always the best solution, right? So your guides are going to guide you in the proper way. So develop a relationship with your guides. It's really important. I have videos in my mediumship information and learning playlist on my YouTube channel here that talk about how to find your spirit guides. I have a free guide to finding your spirit guide on my website with links to the videos as well. Connecting to spirit. So this is when you're ready to connect to a loved one in spirit for somebody. Now, you need to learn to do this to connect to your guides. If you're going to do sitting in the power, which is a meditation to communicate with your guides, to learn from them. But you also can do this by connecting to spirit to connect with a loved one in spirit for a client or a friend or another loved one. So you have to raise your awareness. You have to breathe. Everything starts with breathing, right? We got to clear our energy, lift and expand our awareness and connect to spirit, invite the spirits in. So some people, it's a struggle, right? Some people just say, okay, come in, and they're there, right? Everybody's different. You shouldn't judge yourself. Everybody has their own path with this. So there's a whole ritual you can do to get used to calling spirit in. And you should always be respectful of spirit. You should always be grateful to spirit. You should always be ethical. So when we connect with spirit, we breathe, we lift, we expand, we invite them to step in, depending on who we're connecting to. So if I have a client named Jane Doe, I'll say a meditation beforehand. I'll say, dear God, loved ones in spirit, angels and saints, please allow me to connect with loved ones in spirit for Jane Doe. Please allow me to bring forward messages of hope, healing, peace, and love, and evidence that her loved ones in spirit go on beyond this earthly realm. I say that before every single reading I ever do. And then I go into a meditation, a sitting in the power meditation, where I raise my awareness. I invite their loved ones to come in. Usually, before I even get done saying it, the people start popping in, or the animals, whoever it is, and they'll start giving me information. Vivian said, yes, love your mentorship. I'm so lucky to have found you, Nik. I'm lucky that you found me, and I'm lucky that we're in each other's lives, Vivian. You're wonderful. Glenda said, do your guides come through your clairs? Well, yeah, so I see my guides clairvoyantly, and I see them in my head, and they just pretty much everything with my guides is clairvoyant. I see them, and probably claircognizant, where they just put information in my head. Um, like my main guide just puts the information in my head, but I can see him standing in front of me. And then my other guide is my symbols and names and numbers guide. I see her too, and then she flashes, like she'll flash a name or a word or a symbol at me. So yes, you can use your clairs. Yes, yes, yes. Um, the other thing that's very important, there is no governing body in the United States to um, to control mediums and psychics. It's like the internet, it's like a free for all. All things are possible. So we have to have a very high standard of ethics ourselves in order to do this work. Now, that being said, there are a ton of unethical, scammy mediums and psychics and tarot card readers who do not know what they're doing. They're just scamming people for money. They're underdeveloped. They have not taken any classes or courses. And you have to be very, very careful. If you have somebody who's sending you private messages on your socials to solicit a reading from you and say, oh, your loved one came to me, I have a message. They're probably stalking your live streams. So never put private information on a live stream or your social media. And they know someone you love passed away. And then they say, I have a message from your granddad. But if you give me $200, I'll give you the message. And it's like, no, 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 no ethical medium will ever, ever, ever do that. So don't ever pay money to somebody who reaches out to you first. If you want a reading from somebody, you contact them. They should have a legitimate website where you can book. They should have legitimate social medias with time where they've been on there more than a day. Some of these people get a new social media every day, and they'll have 3 followers and they're following 800 people. That's a red flag. They copy. There's so many fake copies of my accounts, all of my accounts, and other people's accounts, where they'll take our name and picture and they'll solicit readings from them. I will never do that to anybody. If you want a reading from me, you will contact me through email or my website, or you'll send me a private message on social media. But I'm not going to contact you. And we should always set an intention for the greater good of all for every single reading. We should never, ever make the client feel worse than when they got to the reading. The goal in mediumship is you want your client to feel better at the end of the reading. You should never, ever have a reading where you're crying, upset, and depressed at the end of a reading. Now, crying happy tears is one thing. Crying horrible, sad, I'm in pain tears, you should not be doing that at the end of a reading. If a medium leaves you that way, they are unethical, and that is wrong to do. You are welcome, Glenda. Please put any other questions in the chat. Our database is something I learned from my mentor, but other mediums also use this term. The database is the amount of life experiences in our head. And I'll give this example. I have only lived in the United States, but I have lived in several parts of the United States. Midwest, West Coast, East Coast. And I've gone back and forth several times in my life from the East to the West and back and forth several times. So I have a large database for different areas of the country, and I've lived in very multicultural cities where there are a lot of people from a lot of cultural backgrounds and a lot of religious backgrounds and a lot of diverse backgrounds, right? So that's part of my database. Now, if you have a medium who has only lived in a small town in Portugal, right? Their database will be based on the life experience they've had in their small town in Portugal. I've never been to Portugal. I don't know anything about Portugal. So if somebody comes to me for a reading and their whole life was in Portugal, it's going to be a stretch for me to really give them information about Portugal because I've never been there, right? I can give them information about other things that happened, but not about their geographical location because I've never been there. Now, if I have a client, which I have a lot of clients from Northern California because I lived there for so long, I have a big database for the San Francisco Bay Area because I've lived there many, many years, right? I have a big database for Disney World because I've been there many, many times, right? Now I live in Florida. So that's your life experience creates your database. And that I also get a lot of clients who have loved ones who passed by addiction, either accidentally or on purpose, because I have a family history of addiction and passing by addiction. So that's a huge part of the database. So Spirit knows I will be able to connect with their loved ones in spirit quickly because it's such a big part of my database. So that's the database. Boundaries. We need to have boundaries. We need to have boundaries just in our general everyday life, and we need to have boundaries with spirit. My first 2 mediumship experiences were out of nowhere. I did not expect it. Again, if you don't know me, I've been working in science, communication, education for dozens of years and never over 20 years and never ever thought I was going to be a medium. Just didn't occur to me. And so I was very surprised that these things were happening. I've told the story many times. I've got other videos about them. So then I started taking my first mentorship class, and I might have been in my second one by then. I took a lot of classes for mediumship. On my mom's birthday, my mom passed in 1986. On her birthday at midnight, I laid down to go to bed. This was, several years ago. She was in spirit. And I saw her in my mind's eye standing there with about what looked like 1,000 people lined up behind her. And I said, and I at least had enough classes to know by then, Mom, look, I don't know those people. It is midnight. I'm going to bed. If you want me to get messages to their loved ones here on Earth, you need to make it possible for me to connect with them because I couldn't tell you who these 1,000 people are you have all lined up. And as sure as can be, it faded away. And then my mediumship business started pretty quick after that. And it was like boom, 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 boom. Another thing I want to talk about is click the bell to get notified of all my lives and all my videos, because it helps push me in the algorithm, and it's totally free. And there's a bell underneath, and you get choices. Do you want to be notified for live streams, for all videos? It gives you choices, and it's totally free. You don't have to be a member or anything. Make sure you're subscribing to all of your favorite creators. Comment on their channels, comment on their videos, like their videos, share their videos. This helps more than you know, and it's free. All right. Any other questions? Thank you, everybody, for being here. And again, if you're interested in mediumship, but you're on a budget and you're not sure if it's for you, you can get the beginner's course in mediumship 101. Links are below. Digital download from my website or the physical copy from Amazon. Or if you want to learn to talk to your own loved ones in spirit, how to become your own medium, again, paperback on Amazon or digital download. They're only $27. They're also a great gift. Christmas is coming up. If you know somebody who would be interested. Okay. Also, all of my readings, all my one-on-one readings are buy one, get one free if you book them by the end of November. My mentorships I have annual mentorships. I don't know if I have any room till January for that though. And then I also have a 6-month class. I'm probably going to start in January. I'll have a free class, a Zoom class, probably at the beginning of January after the holidays. And I have one-on-one, just one-off classes if you just want one class to see what it's about. So all that's on my website. Oh, Vivian, she sure is. She sure is. You want to see her when she was a baby? That's my mom as a baby. That's her dad. He died at 38 years old when she was 4 years old. She died at 40 when I was 15 and my sister was 10. And that's my grandma. That's my mom at her first communion. She passed many years ago, but she didn't know her dad she knew her dad when she was a little girl, but yeah, that's her. I have other pictures of her, but I don't have them in here. So yes, Vivian, she absolutely has helped me since the day she died. Her death opened the door for me to have a much better life than I would have had. And that I will swear to my grave. That is an absolute fact. Someday I'll tell you the full story. Because there's a story. Yes, it is nice to have family pictures. Yeah, my oldest sister, my aunt or somebody gave those to us. Okay, everybody, I have a bunch of stuff coming up next week. I'll be live with Magical Mondays. Watch my Soul Twin Stars podcast from this morning with medium Carrie Koss. It's a wonderful, wonderful conversation. She's an Akashic Records reader, Akashic Records reader, a medium, a mentor. It's a wonderful conversation. It's on my YouTube channel and on everywhere podcasts are found. Thank you guys. I will be back probably Monday night for Magical Mondays with Lady Shadow. I will be here on Wednesday with Aunt Jen. So please subscribe to her channel. And then, of course, next Friday. So thank you guys. Bye, Diana. Bye, everybody. Vivian, you better text me every detail. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you. See you later.